Hello everyone, my name is Andrew Saul, and today we are going to be going over the final presentation for Dr. Heather Wegworth's IT Management 545 Project Management class. Today's date is December 21st, 2021. I'm going to share my screen with you all here. Perfect. Awesome, so today we're going to be talking about and determining the readiness and implementing change from traditional to an agile environment. Let's get started. So here's our agenda that we're going to be going through today, starting with assessing the levels of maturity for an organization, reorganize for team structure, redefining accountability through autonomous teams, decentralized decision-making, management style, which is going to be servant leadership, assuring willingness to move to agile, top contributors to successful transformation, training on agile, and ensuring agile experts are involved. So starting with our thesis, I wanted to share this directly from my paper. It kind of encompasses everything that we're going to be talking about today. And it states, the shift from a waterfall or traditional to agile framework requires several important steps and regulations to guarantee a successful transition through determining an organization's readiness for change and monitoring the beginning, middle, and ending phases of the transition. So we're going to start with looking at the assessing levels of maturity in an organization. It's really important to do this as an organization needs to know where they stand and determining just how ready they are to make this change. After going through these, they might realize that they're not ready to move into an agile environment as they need to work on their current practices. So there's 5 levels here. We kind of see here, level 1 is kind of a little bit more of an inconsistent approach to project management. There's not a lot of formality or structure. Level 2 is some practices. There's some level of organization or formality. It's not fully comprehensive, nor is it fully applied to the themes. Level 3 consists of practices or consistent practices, which is a complete project management process across all projects. Typically, level 3 is where most organizations want to be met. It's where most sit at. And then level 4 is integrated practices. This means that they are fully adhere to project management processes and they are set on where they're at. And then level 5, this is the top level of maturity that every organization would like to reach to, which is continually improving practices. So they've already integrated, they've already fully adhered to the project management practices, but they're always looking to under the next ongoing cycle for improvement. So they're always looking for the next new thing while they're keeping up to their current project management practices or process. The next slide here is about reorganize for team structure. I dash this with culture because there's going to be a cultural change within the organization with switching over to agile. With team structure, with moving to agile, the shift from working to solo projects into working on teams is going to be huge. So if a lot of the team members were used to kind of working on projects on their own, that's going to change, and there's going to be a lot more cross-functional communication across all the departments on the tech side. I like to say this quote that states from Hatch in 2019 states, unlike a traditional waterfall framework, Agile requires work to be completed in teams. This means your organizational structure may need to shift from functional silos to product-based cross-functional teams. And this is very true. So we'll get into this in just a little bit, but team members are going to have to realize that they're going to have to take more responsibility on themselves and taking more of a managerial type of mindset when they're going to be doing their own projects. But we'll get into that. The next slide here is redefine accountability through autonomous teams. So this is what I was just kind of getting into a little bit. So accountability in Agile is much more aggressive. What I mean by this is that management is going to be holding teams accountable. A team should make progress when the main guru is gone. So when the main product owner or the product manager is out of office, or let's say they're on vacation for a week, the team should be able to continue work flow through the sprints and stories without them there. So this is when the cross-functional communication really comes into play here, and it becomes the new norm for the organization. I said here, this change mentally equals a successful preparation for transitioning into Agile. So just mentally prepping your team for this new norm is going to set you guys up for success. Decentralized decision-making. So team members need to take on more responsibility. Leadership needs to let go. What this does here is it takes a lot of the weight off of leadership, and it gives the team members a bit more responsibility and managerial experience. With this, managerial growth will increase across the team. Communication skills will also increase, and overall, just flow of work and projects are going to increase, as well as the quality of the product that's going to be coming out will also increase. The downside to this, in decentralized decision making, is the training that's involved, and making sure that your team member is actually confident to lead, kind of take that managerial position in a way. So management style. So a lot of this in Agile is going to be based on servant leadership. So this kind of falls under Scrum management style. So Scrum management style, it flows from a servant form of leadership. What this means is that leaders serve for each team member, and each team member is actively listening. So this is a constant equal back and forth between the leaders, who are not just serving for the whole team, they're serving for each team member. And we want to make sure that each team member is actively listening and is fully engaged with our leadership team. I quoted this quote here from Linders in 2016. He states, "You focus on the needs of others, especially team members, before you consider your own. You acknowledge other people's perspectives, give them the support they need to meet work and personal goals." I really like this quote. It really encompasses just the ground level basics of, the human side of managing and speaking to others and managing others. So I think it's important to never forget about the kind of behavioral human side of things when we're managing people. And then assuring willingness to move to Agile. So moving to Agile pulls team members out of the comfort zone. When a company or organization decides to move into Agile, there's going to be a fair amount of team members that are not going to agree with this change. And this can lead to the organization not fully integrating Agile practices, and they're going to keep going on with their current methodology of traditional. So what's important here, how to kind of avoid that issue, is having senior leadership being on board 100%. If we have the senior leadership on board fully, then this is going to have a trickle down effect onto the team members below them, and it'll be a mental shift between them and leadership. And I think the team members underneath them will kind of realize, like, okay, this is why we're doing this, and if they have the willingness to do it, then we'll have the willingness to do it also. I included this quote here from Dain in 2021. It states, "Leadership teams act in an agile manner. We'll see this replicated at lower levels. Conversely, when leadership doesn't participate, there's a trickle-down effect to the teams, even those have adopted Agile successfully, even those that have adopted Agile successfully. So, like I said, you'll see this, once you have your senior leadership, your leadership team being fully on board with the new practices, then your rest of the team members are going to recognize that and adhere to what they're willing to move forward with. So we have 4 top contributors to a successful transformation into Agile. We've talked about the first 2 here, which is ensuring strong executive or senior leadership sponsorship and communicating effectively. Our last 3 is going to be training on Agile and reasons why the organization is moving to Agile. And our 4th one is ensuring Agile experts are involved. The reason why I put this slide here in the middle of the presentation is to just briefly go over the first 2 that we've already talked about, and then go into the second just to see how they all fill in together. So for training on Agile, there's kind of 2 parts to this. We need to have the training as well as telling the teams that the team members that your role is going to be changing, and this is how it's going to be changing. So let's talk about the training piece first. So training on Agile, a lot of this can be done through a website called scrum.org. There's a quote here from scrum.org that states, becoming an Agile organization is profound transformation that requires senior leaders, middle managers, and Agile team members to change the way they organize their work, manage that work, and measure the results of the work. So Scrum.org is a great organization that really says, how it puts out training practices on Agile, how it works from basic forms into more advanced forms, as well as into different departments. So if you want to learn more about Agile in UX or Agile in development or QA, then they have that on there as well. And then lastly, on this slide here was talking about telling the team members how their roles are going to change. So making this clear and upfront to each member on a little bit on how the roles are going to change. For an example, it could be they are going to have more communication when they're on the last couple of days on the sprint, and they're going to have to talk to the project managers a little bit more and kind of have more of a decisive decision making on their team. So it comes from little things like that, and as well as just overall feel of the organization and the culture change. And our 4th point here was ensuring Agile experts are involved. So Agile experts, they have extensive years of Agile training and experience under their belt. Agile experts should be in the process from the beginning phases, middle, and the ending. This is a great resource for the team to use, as they can just bounce questions, ideas, and thoughts right off of them as they are there in all the stages. Agile experts can also assist team members who are not committed. So if there's a handful of team members, or even just one that isn't wanting to move into an Agile type of organization from traditional, then they can speak with these experts and kind of go back and forth and figure out, what are the pain areas, why do you want to stay, and then the Agile experts can come in and kind of hear what they're saying and give reasons to why the change is happening, and an overview on why Agile can be better than traditional and the reason why the change is happening in the organization. In short, more onboard team members equals a better transition to Agile. It's a cleaner cutoff from traditional, and that is the goal for a lot of organizations. In conclusion, shifting to Agile requires several steps to be successful. Agile is not a journey, it is a destination. Oh, sorry, it is a journey, not a destination. There's going to be a lot of different pieces of the transformation. That's not necessarily going to be smoothest ride. There's going to be a lot of bumps and hurdles that the team's going to have to go through. Leadership must be 100% on board. Like we said, if the leaderships are fully have acceptance of the Agile methodology, this is going to have a trickle down effect to the other team members, and they're going to realize that, hey, this is a good idea. This is why we're doing it, and they'll follow suit with the leadership team. Conflicting views are inevitable. There is kind of a high likelihood that there's going to be team members that are hesitant of switching practices. Like I said, pairing them up with Agile experts and communicating over with them could help and be some sort of a solution to this problem. Team members would be reluctant of the change, like I said. That's one of the biggest problems with an organization switching over to Agile, is that there's team members that are not necessarily the most excited to switch over to Agile. So, like I said, having them communicate over to the Agile experts is a great solution. And then lastly, motivating your team and thinking about long-term benefits of Agile. Motivating your team, doing short wins as progression is coming along goes a really long way. Especially this whole transition can be very frustrating for a lot of folks. So just a little bit of motivation, a little bit of encouragement, and some pats on the back here and then for small wins is a great thing. So I added this quote here on the bottom here. It says, Agile movement in software is a part of a larger movement towards more humane and dynamic workplaces in the 21st century. This is by Rowan Bunning. I think this is a great quote that really encompasses organizations that are transferring over to Agile. And then these are my references. I used 5 in this presentation. And that is all. Just stop sharing my screen. There we go. Great. Well, thank you so much for listening and participating in my presentation for IT Management 545 and learning a little bit more about what it takes to transition an organization from waterfall or traditional into an Agile organization. Thank you very much for your time and take care. Bye-bye.